Okay, we're getting in some more breaking news right now on the India-America trade talks. Some developments. There have been several rounds of negotiations and Trump doing some big talk, but we know that our negotiators are trying really hard to ensure that India gets the best deal out of this. As per government official sources, bilateral trade talks between India and US now progressing as per decisions of the Prime Minister and also US President Donald Trump. Government officials speaking to news agencies confirming that Indian teams are in America to carry out the fifth round of negotiations on the bilateral trade agreement. So the fifth round of talks now on in America, and we are hearing the talks are on in the right direction as per the conversation that was held between Prime Minister Modi, US President Donald Trump. Here's what Piyush Goyal said a few minutes back. Union Minister Piyush Goyal.
I've often said trade negotiations are not done on camera with the media. They are done between two nations, and negotiations are going on at a very fast pace and in the spirit of mutual cooperation, so that we can come out with a win-win trade complementing agreement with the United States.
Kritat is joining us. What's the latest, Kritat? Where does the trade talks stand? What was the last threat that Trump gave? And what exactly are our secretaries, bureaucrats doing?
Well, Niranjan, it is the fifth round of talks for which our government officials have now landed in Washington. The fourth round of talks, of course, was held in New Delhi, where the US officials had visited us. This is the fifth round of talk, and it is a massive development that the trade negotiations are ongoing. Remember, it was July 9, the self-imposed deadline by the US President Donald Trump to finalize all the trade negotiations. However, even back then, Union Minister Piyush Goyal had stated that India does not negotiate based on arbitrary deadlines, but we only negotiate based on national interest. Subsequently, we saw that the Trump administration has released more than 21 letters of tariffs issued to 21 separate nations, but India has not been part of that. So we believe that India and US are in very advanced stages of negotiation when it comes to an interim trade agreement. Of course, the final trade agreement is expected to be signed later this year by the end of fall, but initially under consideration, there are more than 6,000 items that are under this very big and massive interim trade agreement. As Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister, also said that we look for a big, beautiful trade deal with the United States. 6,000 items in consideration, more than 19 chapters. So it's going to be very comprehensive. In fact, it is believed to be one of the biggest deals that the US is negotiating this season. Obviously, there have been only two other parallels, the United Kingdom and Vietnam, who have signed a trade agreement with the US so far since the tariff announcements were made. But India and US have a very clear outline. That is also what the government officials said. In February, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Donald Trump, that is when both of them had decided that by 2030, they will reach $500 billion of trade. Subsequently, in the month of March, just immediately the next month when the negotiations began, the terms of reference were signed and the fall deadline was set. So there is still a lot of time left. Obviously, US President Donald Trump is expected to visit India later this year for the Quad Leaders Summit, and by that time we expect that the interim trade agreement at least will be finalized. Initially, it was even hypothesized that the full trade agreement could also come up, but India is clearly playing hardball and standing its ground and negotiating in national interest, and that's the big developing story.
Yeah, thank you for that, Kritat. Very comprehensive lowdown on where the talks stand now.